G'day and welcome to the NRL Round 17 preview. Why am I wearing this? Well, it's because we're going to go straight to the ladder. This week brought to you by the Bunker Bungles Blinds and Shutters store. And this week we've got our special and our Ray Charles shutters. Now if you've ever wondered why the bunker, seems to stuff up with more regularity than someone on a high fibre diet, it's because this is the official costume of the bunker in the NRL. They walk in, they leave their white cane and their Labrador at the door, and they just come in, it gets sent upstairs, and they just try and press red or green. They don't know what's going on most of the time, and you know what? I don't think it's going to change anytime soon. The stuff-ups are just part of the game. If we're going to go down the video route, that's where it ends up. Here's the ladder, Melbourne Storm up on top, Titans and Bulldogs down the bottom. There's a big scramble for places. We've got 9 rounds left before Origin, and guess what? As I pick up my script, everyone's gunning for the playoffs now. There's 9 rounds to go, and let's get straight into it. Round 17 starts at Panthers Stadium. The Panthers welcome the Titans, who are stone motherless, second last, may as well be last. And I think at home, the Panthers with Billy Kickow up against Bryce Cartwright. That's the interesting combat for that game, but it's a mismatch almost as large as Billy Kickow's hands. And you know what they say about a guy with big hands? Wears big gloves. Anyway, the Panthers at home, they'll win that one. Panthers, I'm going to say by 14. The other Friday night game, it's the Newcastle Knights looking to rebound from that loss to the Warriors last week. They're taking on the bottom-dwelling Bulldogs. Now, can the Knights bounce back and get into the winner's circle? We've got Clemmer, Saifidi and Glasby backing up. They've been named out of the side. We won't know until kick-off whether they've come through Origin unscathed. There is no Ponga though, but there is a Mitchell Pearce. Now, the Bulldogs, they beat the Sharks last week. They also had a great upset win over the bye last week, so they've picked up 4 points in the last 2 weeks. Can they upset the Knights on their home territory? Can they get out of the basement? No, I don't think so. They've got Kieran Foran's out, they've got a very young halves combination. Brandon Wakeham's is playing his second NRL game. He's with Jack Cogger, who's an ex-Knight, so he'll be up for a big game. But, look, with Mason Lino and Mitchell Pearce coming off the back of what should be a good Knights go forward, so Newcastle Knights all the way, I think the Knights will win by 8. Okay, let's go to Saturday. And we're starting at ANZ Stadium. And guess what? Slam and Sam Burgess is back. Thomas hasn't quite made it this week. He'll be back next week. George, of course, you won't see him for quite a while. But Slam and Sam is back, and don't the Bunnies need him? Manly are only 2 points behind the Bunnies, and the Wobbly Wabbados need Slam and Sam at his best. Now, Desi has the Seagulls soaring. They're coming equal 4th and are playing really rough football, great defence, and with the Turbo brothers, they've got the skill and the speed and the toughness to take down the Bunnies. This game's going to be won in the ruck, with Damien Cook and Sam Burgess looking to punch holes through the Manly ruck. It's up to people like Martin Tapau, Adam Fanua-Blake and Jake Trbojevic to block that up. But Manly can reply in kind with the Turbo brothers. And the flip side, if South don't shut Tommy Turbo down, it's going to be a rough night for the Bunnies. Desi's up against his old mate, Wayne Bennett. They're both cut from the same cloth. The material's been carbon dated back before Jesus Christ was running around in sandals. That should be, imagine those two in a comedy store routine. It would be absolutely beautiful. It'd be the Mumbling Brothers. It'd be like Waldorf and Statler in the Muppets, except maybe less funny. Look, I'm expecting South to get back to winning ways. Wiley Wayne will have them pumped up. With Sam back leading the way, I think him and Damien Cook and Tavita Totola, who's replaced George in the starting lineup, I think they'll lay the platform for Katie Walker and Adam Reynolds to bring this home. But in a tight one, Rabbitohs by 2. Now, massive game. 5:30 Saturday at Suncorp Stadium. Broncos versus Warriors. And I've got some great news. Herbie Farnworth has kept his place in the side, and he's actually playing in the centres because Gemet Shibasaki is out injured. So Herbie Farnworth has impressed Anthony Seibold. Xavier Coates has also kept his spot, the young GI. So we've got Oates and Coates on the wing, so there you go. Wrap your mouth around that one. Now both teams won last weekend, but are running 11th and 14th respectively. So this is a massive game. The winner can parachute and hopefully launch themselves up the table. It'll be 2 wins in a row. The loser, well, they're not out of it, but they can start getting their brochure and potentially planning their off-season trip. Big news, Anthony Seibold has also swapped around Anthony Milford, who's back, and Darius Boyd. Boyd's going to play 5'8", the Milf's back at fullback. Payne Haas and Tavita Pangai Jr., they led the way last week. What Anthony Seibold wants to see from them is consistency, and that is the missing ingredient in the Warriors' DNA. They don't know whether they're Arthur or Martha, the Warriors. They're all over the shop. The only thing in their DNA is a bit of sideshow alley and cardiac arrest. They're poor fans. They suffer each week. Typical last week, poor first 40 minutes, and then they came over the top of the Knights with a brilliant last 40. If they can put it together for the full 80, they'll not only win this game, they'll make the top 8. But I just can't see them doing it. I think at home, the Broncos will have too much firepower for the Warriors. And I think the Broncos, this is going to be their launching pad for a run at the 8. Don't count the Broncos out. Broncos by 10. Now, Saturday night, and here we go. Cameron Smith's 400th game. The Storm welcome their rivals, bitter rivals, the Sharks, to Amy Park. But it's all about Cameron Smith. Cameron, I salute you. 400 games. In the middle of the park, you add in his rep games, he's played over 500. It's just an amazing achievement. What a milestone. And one thing Melbourne does good, a milestone wins. They're going to be up for this, something shocking. They're on top of the table. The Sharks are on a slide. They've lost 3 games in a row where they've actually scored more tries than the opposition. Yet they've still lost the game. Anybody at the Sharks, can we find a goal kicker, please? Sean Johnson? Don't step forward too quickly. Sean Johnson is under the gun. He's been the goal kicker, missing all these goals. He got hooked last week by John Morris. He's not happy. He wants him to run the football and stop trying to be a playmaker. I actually think Sean Johnson should be playing fullback. That, to me, is his best spot. He doesn't have to organise, doesn't have to think too much. He could just inject himself wherever he wants. But anyway, he's still at 5'8". And I think the Melbourne Storm, with Cameron Smith playing his 400th, he'll lead the way. Andrew Fafita is back though, and the Wrecking Ball would love nothing better than to play party pooper and spoil Cameron's basically grab Cameron's cake and shove it in his face. So Fafita, if he plays out of his skin, the Sharks are a chance, but I think Melbourne, with the 2 Camerons running the show, and everyone they'll all be wearing Cameron Smith masks, I'm sure. The Storm to get that one by 7. Now, there's 3 games on Sunday, and we're starting with the Roosters, and Ryan Hall has kept his position at number 5. Great news for Ryan Hall. He's been playing great footy. They're welcoming the Cowboys. They're going to play at Central Coast Stadium. The Cowboys are riding into Gosford, hoping to rustle the 2 points back over the border, but they're running into a Roosters side. They're getting some players back. Luke Keary come back last week, and him and Latrell Mitchell just carved the Tigers up. Joey Manu's playing fullback because Teddy's getting rested, and Manu plays good footy at fullback. Now, of course, the Cowboys, everything comes off Taumalolo, but I expect Waria Hargraves and Siasiwa Takiaho to TKO Taumalolo. I think the Roosters, off the back of that go forward, with Jake Friend back for the first time since round 7, they're going to run the show. The Cowboys, I can't see them getting close. Roosters by 14. Now, this should be an absolute ripping game. Bankwest Stadium, 4:05 p.m. Sunday. It's 9v7, Tigers v Eels. Parramatta, even though you're in the away dressing room, it's your home ground. The Tigers share it with them, and this is a real toss of the coin. And I've got another salute, Benji Marshall, 300 games. Well done, mate. He was a player who got a lot of kids watching this great game of ours. Before Benji Marshall, we didn't have the fancy footwork. the no flick pass, the no look pass, that wasn't even in our vocabulary. It's now part of the rugby league vernacular. Thanks to you, Benji Marshall, you've been an inspiration. And the wily man has turned wise. He is now a great game manager. He's completely reinvented himself in his old age and now just steers the team around the park with aplomb. To me, this game will be won in the back row. The Tigers have Madison, Eisenhuth and Chris Lawrence up against a massive back row. Manu Ma'u, who's just been signed by Hull FC for next year. I think with Nathan Brown and Tepai Mararoa and Murata Niokore and Sean Lane, they'll come on and through the interchange. That's a huge back row. If Parramatta get on top through Mitchell Moses and young Dylan Brown, I actually think the Eels can get this done. When they get momentum, Parramatta are hard to stop. I think the Eels will scrape this one in by 4. Now we're finishing off. Massive English alert. The Raiders and the Dragons. The Raiders are travelling to Wollongong to take on the Dragons. All 4 Englishmen. The Great Brits are all there. And guess what? George Williams is coming to Canberra next year to make it a famous 5. Now, the Raiders blew a 16-0 lead against the Dragons, against the Eels last week. They can't afford to do that again this week. The Dragons got 5 guys backing up from Origin, but it's still a really rock-solid team who can take down the Raiders if they're not at their best. James Graham has actually been named in jersey 20, so he's that close to coming back, it's not funny. I think they'll hold him back for another week, but that's great news for the Dragons fans. Hopefully Gareth Widdop's not too far behind. I think the Raiders, I'm expecting massive games from the Englishmen. They've all just had 2 weeks off. They all went to Bali. So hopefully they've left the budgie smugglers at home and I've got the shoulder pads on and they're ready to rock. The Raiders need their Englishmen who set the tone, set the standard to set this game up. And I think they will. I'm expecting a huge game from Bateman. Josh Hodgson back at his best. I think the Raiders can get the job done. Ryan Sutton off the bench, massive impact. The Dragons, I think if they're not in front with 20 to go, coming off Origin, their forwards might struggle a bit. And I think that might be the key to this game. I think the Raiders are just going to edge this one. Raiders by 4. That's it for your Round 17 preview. Enjoy your rugby league and watch series about rugby league on YouTube and get on the website.